Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first discussion video of 2025. Woo! We went months without any discussion videos, and then in the space of, 3 weeks, you've seen us 3 times!
Yeah, folks, she won't even speak to me unless there's a new episode. She won't even look at me unless there's a new episode. And you know what? She's right to do it.
So what we want to do today to kick off 2025 is something, maybe a tradition. I don't know if we can call it a tradition yet. We did it last year. We feel like maybe we'll do it every year. So let's call it a tradition.
I'm on board.
Where we make some bold predictions for the year to come in the Whoniverse. And it might actually turn out to be true.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. In the RTD world of Doctor Who, the crazier you get, probably the closer to what's going to happen you'll land.
I mean, let's take a look at last year's predictions. They weren't all correct, obviously, but we did get 2 correct in our predictions from the beginning of 2024. So, Seán, you predicted that the first spin-off would be announced and it won't be anything that we're expecting. And I think it's safe to say that the war between the land and the sea with Sea Devils was not where we thought the first spin-off in the Whoniverse was going to go.
I thought that Russell Tovey has relations with the Sea Devil was going to be firmly entrenched only in my own personal fan fiction, and yet, obviously, Russell has been reading my diary. And you know what? Listen, if that's the case, we have some wild Doctor Who spin-offs coming up. But yeah, so I think because I'm trying to think of what I won't go into this too because we spent last year on this, but like I'm trying to think of why I thought just like Russell T doesn't like to do what you think he's going to do. And he's now well known for it. To his detriment, which we have spoken about before. Like, if he says something is definitely not going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that. So yeah, so like, spin-off, yes. I think the only thing we were like, it'll be something different. It's not going to be Torchwood. And we were right.
Yeah, but it wasn't the only prediction we got correct because I predicted that we would meet the next companion. And
Yes.
we now know that Varada Sethu will be appearing as Belinda Chandra in season 2. Now, it's kind of maybe an asterisk involved because we did meet her, but we didn't meet her as Belinda Chandra. We met her in Boom and she was a different character, but we know she's coming.
100%. It is no less valid than if, say, someone was like, we'll meet the new companion, but it wasn't Amy Pond. It was Priestess in Pompeii, So, yeah.
Yep. But, let's stop dwelling on last year's predictions and get into the predictions for this year. So, Seán, kick us off with your first prediction for 2025.
Wouldn't it blow everyone's mind? So, actually, speaking of blowing everyone's mind, Rose is 20 years old this year. The episode is now older than Rose was in the episode. So I just want to let everyone sit with that for a moment, and I'm sorry to bring that information to you. So my I say it's my prediction. We know what I think the likelihood of this is. But for the 20th anniversary, Eccleston either does a cameo or does something Who related. Now, I've included that because something Who related, which could be like Big Finish, way more likely. Way more likely. I really do. Eccleston is not going to appear on screen. It's Doctor Who this year. However, I could imagine Russell being the kind of person that would move heaven and earth to pull the rug out from under our feet.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's sent him a lot of money. He's promised a lot of money. I don't know. He sent him one hell of a Christmas present this year.
Yeah, like, for example, congratulations, you're now the 16th Doctor. But I think as well, this is a funny one because I think so many of us want this. And I think this would be a perfect time to do this, with it being an anniversary year. Not just for Who, because technically it's the 62nd anniversary of Who, which is, I'm sure everyone who turns 62 is bloody happy. It's their 62nd birthday. But, it's not a landmark year in the way the 60th was. But it is a landmark year for this era of Doctor Who. And particularly, obviously, for Eccleston. So it will be really, really lovely. having said that, we did get Eccleston in Rogue, technically. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
probably more likely that, like, we'll have maybe footage or something like that, because I presume they own the rights. I mean, that's how he was in the 50th, right? They just slotted some footage back in from
Yeah, and then just
days.
very inconspicuously had like a brief moment of John Hurt sprouting some ears.
I love the interview about that, of Moffat basically saying we wanted to include him without suggesting that he was in any way a part of this. I'm like, okay.
Okay, but I like the bold prediction. It's bold, it's out there. Maybe Christopher Eccleston will appear in like a Tales of the TARDIS episode, or like a little
I would
mini-sode.
love that. I would really love that. Like give us empty child, Doctor Dances, or Rose. Rose would be a brilliant episode to do in Tales of the TARDIS, but
Yeah.
we shall see. Okay, so I have basically made a massive prediction that I've also said I don't think is likely. So do you have one that is more likely for us?
I do, but it's a little bit of a sad one, really.
Oh, God.
But I feel like there's a reality to it somewhere. That Ncuti Gatwa will announce his departure from Doctor Who.
All right, give him a
Now,
chance
I know
to
it's
breathe.
a sad one, but hear me out here. David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, and Jodie Whittaker, all of those did 3 series as the Doctor. So I kind of feel like with season 3 being up in the air, but also being the next one to film, it is possible that if that is the next season, then we do get the green light for it, and it does go ahead. It is likely that at some point this year, Ncuti Gatwa may announce that he's departing if he follows that 3 series rule. But also, on the other hand, because we have so much uncertainty at the moment about what's happening with season 3, not necessarily whether we're going to get a season 3, but how it's going to work in terms of Disney, will they be involved, won't they be involved? It could be that season 3 takes a while to actually make it on screen or even be filmed. And if that is the case, again, Ncuti Gatwa may be sitting there going, I have other projects that I want to be working on. And the longer season 3 takes, the longer season 3 takes to be given the green light and the go ahead and to happen, the more likely it would be that Ncuti Gatwa has to go, you know what, guys, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to step away now. Whether that happens after season 3, if we do get the green light for it relatively soon, or if it gets to a point where season 2 ends up being his final season because he can't wait around for a season 3.
No, I know what you mean. Obviously, like I want this very much not to be the case, but there is. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes our jobs are interesting. Is that we do end up looking at business trends. I mean, like, we're here to talk about Sea Devils and TARDISes and everything, and we end up looking at, okay, what is the profit margin that Disney is making on Doctor Who? It's like, these are things I never thought I would consider when talking about Doctor Who, and yes, we know the filming of season 1 was directly impacted by Ncuti's own schedule, which on the one hand makes perfect sense. If you're not free, you're not going to shoot. But then, how long does a major production, not to say that the BBC pounds are so few, but when you've got Disney dollars involved as well, everything gets a lot more expensive. How long can that sit on something before they're like, well, we can't keep working solely to your schedule. I'm also not suggesting that we're working solely to Ncuti's schedule. Everyone has a shooting schedule. Everyone is busy.
But equally, Ncuti can't turn around and say, I can't put my entire career on hold to suit your schedule.
Exactly, because as you've mentioned, who knows what's happening in the future. I guess this must be what it must feel like to be an agent. You just never know what's going to happen in a couple of months. It's like, to every agent out there, are you okay? Do you want a cup of tea?
To Ncuti's agent, are you okay?
Yeah. It's like, on the one hand, yay, all these offers are coming in. On the other hand,
My favourite part about that is that your scream didn't actually register, so you just had your mouth open.
Fair. And what was to do with the 3-season thing? I mean, it is a trend.
It does seem to be, and I don't know whether that's a case of after 3 series actors become maybe not bored of a job, but kind of get to a point where they go, right, I'm ready for something new now, because Doctor Who, as we know, is a very demanding show to be on, especially playing the Doctor. It's a very demanding role. And Peter Capaldi, for example, you know, he always wanted to be the Doctor. He was a massive fan of the show, and even he had to get to a point where he went, it's taking too much out of me. I've done my time, and now I know that it's enough and I need to walk away.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, but yeah, I think as well, Ncuti is young, and look at Matt Smith. I mean, it propelled him into stardom, and Ncuti Gatwa is already on quite a high level, and it's only going to propel him further. So, you know, he would be mad to turn down opportunities on the off chance that something might happen. Let me highlight again that I'm not saying Doctor Who's going to be cancelled. I don't know how many times I can say this and how many ways I can say it. Doctor Who will be fine. It might go on a little break for a while it changes hands or goes back to the BBC or whatever, but it's not going anywhere. We're fine. Disney might just disappear.
I completely agree. And actually, that is something we may even revisit on this very discussion. Okay. I don't want your prediction to come true. How does that sound?
No. I don't want him to leave, but I wouldn't be surprised if an announcement of his departure. And then it might not be that he leaves this year, but it might become as an announcement that he will be leaving after season 3, whenever that might be.
I was looking the other day at sort of when, you know, departures were announced, and it was the Matt Smith one that caught my eyes. We found out after the name of the Doctor. Like, we watched the 50th and the Christmas special knowing, you know, the Christmas special was going to be the end of his tenure, but he had done his full 3. So I wonder, I think in the world of today, you couldn't have a shock regeneration. Like, we will know in advance.
Yeah.
It's how much in advance I think will be where your prediction is really. So yeah, I think I don't want it to be true. Go on, be like Tom Baker, never leave.
Oh my god, actually, you've just reminded me. Really weird, off topic, don't know. I had a dream about Tom Baker the other night.
That must have sounded cool, because his voice.
I don't even remember if he spoke or not. It was very strange. I think it was after the announcement that he'd been awarded the MBE. So he was on my mind, and in the dream, I don't know if anyone cares about my dream, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Little interlude into the Ellie's dream world. I was back working at the pub I used to work at, and apparently in this dream world, Tom Baker was a regular in this pub, but apparently I've only just learnt that. And he was in the pub, and lots of people kept going over to him, and even though he was a regular in the pub, I was always too scared to go and say hi.
Oh.
And that's pretty much all I can remember about the dream. I just remember Tom Baker being in the pub, chatting to all of the regulars, the real life regulars in that pub that I used to serve on a daily basis. And I kept thinking to myself, why have I never come and said hi to him?
Go next time you're working in the pub, say hi to Tom.
Yeah.
Cool.
The pub I no longer work at.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Tom Baker has never been in.
You don't know that. You don't know. From the stories about Tom Baker's youth, there's a strong chance that he visited the pub that you worked in.
It's true.
And many.
Right, quickly, let's move on to your next prediction.
The Master returning.
Ooh.
Now, I have my evidence for this is that Russell has made a point of saying the Master is parked, and has also said who could top. I think he also said who could top Missy. Well, Sacha Dhawan gave it a good go, but anyway, I don't think that was
Sacha
his point.
Dhawan, I feel like gets overlooked. He was brilliant.
There's a video in that. Like there really is, but also the gold tooth at the end of the giggle.
Mm-hmm.
So now it took 3 returning seasons. Well, sort of obviously teased in season 2 the Saxon thing, for the Master to come back the first time around. So I don't think he would follow the same pattern. You know, I don't think he would be like, and season 3 is the Master. I think we'll get something. Also, I think there's too much fun to have with the Master to not use the character. There's also, I mean, the fact that Sacha Dhawan's Doctor is still out there. Defeated, sure, but a tooth now, sure, but not necessarily dead. Although a tooth would be a great way of kind of going, oh, here's a new master doctor. Master doctor.
I've just had a thought.
You're right. Cast Jodie Whittaker as the master.
What if the cliffhanger to season 2 is that Mrs. Flood is the person that picked up the gold tooth and she has somehow brought back the master?
Do you know what? I would prefer that to random guard at a prison.
Yeah, as I said it, I was like, this sounds kind of similar to what happened last time. But at the same time, it was a Russell T Davies story where it happened before. Yep. And if there's a twist on it, but a slight similarity, then I wouldn't be surprised if that perhaps was the direction that we went in.
I think so as well. I think my only, not concern, but my only thing for the master is the one thing I felt a little dissatisfied with Sacha Dhawan's master storyline is how it sort of went, we just won't talk about We're Old Enough in Time. Missy was having a bad day. Now it's okay. The master is back.
Yeah.
So it's like, just by all means, have them diverge paths again. No issue with that. Have them be a villain. 100%. But maybe address.
I will say, people correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that gap was addressed in a Big Finish audio with Missy and what happened there and how she then became... I think it revolved around basically like Missy having her own version of the Valeyard.
Ah, okay.
But I can't remember all the details. But I'm fairly certain Big Finish have tried to approach that gap where people have gone, hang on a second.
That is good. For people kind of screaming at me going, Sean, why do you not know this? I can only claim there's a lot of Big Finish to get through. And it's incredible. It really, really is. There's just a lot of it. Which, I mean, like, as opposed to the 3 episodes of Doctor Who. There's so much of that. I'm not painting a good picture of myself here. Everyone, listen to more Big Finish audio. Ellie, what's your next prediction for this year? Moving along, what's your next prediction for this year?
My next prediction for 2025 is that the war between the land and the sea will take the Christmas spot for 2025. Because we have so much uncertainty around what's going to happen after season 2. You know, we know the Disney deal doesn't go beyond season 2. Doctor Who team themselves don't seem to know what's going to happen until season 2 has aired. It seems unlikely that they'll be able to get a Christmas special filmed in time for December 2025 if they don't know what's going to happen until the end of, say, May, if May is when. May or June, depending on when season 2 airs.
Yeah.
But I don't think Russell T Davies will want to give up that Christmas slot after fighting so hard to get it back again, for us to then not have a Christmas special of some sort filling that gap that we want it to. It's prime Whoniverse watching time. Now, I will admit that I have kind of heard a little bit through the grapevine that this might possibly be what's going to happen.
Right.
Not confirmation, but I have heard from a few people that this could potentially be the direction that they go in this year. But yeah, I think Russell will not want to lose that Christmas slot. But at the moment, season 2 is all they've got as far as, and the only other Whoniverse stuff that we are aware of that they have been making is the war between the land and the sea. So it would make sense for them to use that to fill the Christmas slot as opposed to giving up that slot because they don't have time to make a special.
Okay, all right. Well, if there's talk of it on the table, then right. Because my first thing would be like, oh, a special without the Doctor. But okay, because I mean, like I'm the same. Like we've talked about this a lot. I like my Christmas Day watches. This was great fun. I enjoyed Joy to the World. Sitting down with the family. It's a thing, right? So, yeah, all right, okay. I mean, this also gives me Russell Tovey on Christmas Day, which is a lovely Christmas present. So
yeah, I mean, I've also heard, again, there might not be any truth to it, but I also have heard through the grapevine that it may air in the same way that Children of Earth did, so consecutive days as opposed to weekly. Now, if you look at the Christmas week, that actually could make a lot of sense to kind of maybe air from Christmas Day and then fill those days that just merge all into one day over Christmas. So it won't quite take you to New Year. So yeah, whether they do it across that whole week, or whether they start on Christmas Day and do it in 5 days, or whether we're completely wrong and that's not going to happen at all. But my bold prediction is that at somewhere around Christmas, the war between the land and the sea will be what we see, as opposed to a Doctor Who special.
Prediction: Doctor Who moves to a different streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so obviously you've alluded to this already with the Disney deal, as we, the great unwashed, are currently aware, it ends with season 2. So I don't know where the war between the land and the sea falls in that. I presume it is included because it's currently it's in production. So I presume that's Disney. And I suppose our even question about this is, we know it's on BBC, and it's always been on BBC because part of it is funded by the British taxpayer via the telly license, or the TV license.
TV license.
Yeah. TV license. Clarity: I live in a different country. That's what that's about. So that's fine. The Disney question of it all is that, not that we've talked about this. No, we're not saying Disney is about to bring the big cancellation button down. That's not what I mean. Just, does it make sense for Disney as a property to keep basically funding Doctor Who, to keep streaming it out there? I would quite like it to stay with Disney. And yes, I have spoken at length about access issues and about how much fun that's been in the Republic of Ireland. And anyway, listen, we've had that conversation. But a lot of the world now has access to it in a way that they didn't before, and that is a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I am not wishing it away whatsoever. But I suppose my even query of it is, I've seen it before on things like Netflix, on things like, now, not that Netflix funded it. Mm-hmm. If it moves to a different streaming service, which it might, I think that could affect the scope of it. Because it depends now if they're going to do, all right, I'm just using Netflix as an example. All right, Netflix, do you want to pay some money toward it? Not really. Quite frankly, we have our own bills, thank you very much. And
yeah, I suppose there is a difference. I mean, if Netflix were to take it, they have had it before by just paying for the right to stream it, but not necessarily to create it. I mean, we've had a similar situation with we're just going to talk about that other franchise for a second, but with Prodigy. It got cancelled by the people that actually funded it. But Netflix bought it to stream a series that had already been created and paid for, and they just had to kind of pay to stream it. Now the question of whether there's going to be any more of it sits in the hands of whether Netflix are prepared to pay to make more of it as opposed to just stream it.
Yeah.
So
these are very different things. And I'm looking as well. So over across the pond, I know HBO Max has Doctor Who there. Or at least did have Doctor Who there, because obviously Disney have it as well. I don't really... Hang on. So
I think they currently have NuWho up to what's on Disney, and then Disney has the new stuff. But the NuWho is available on HBO Max.
It would be lovely if there was a worldwide available version, because yes, iPlayer, I see you. A place where you can find it all. That would be wonderful. But yeah, anyway. And if it just... So Sean, what is your actual prediction here? My prediction is that, how about this? We'll get news of what's happening this year. Because sort of by definition, we sort of have to. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be... this ties back into Ncuti staying or going. I think if season 2 came to an end with no news on whether it was going to stay on Disney or not, I do think that would affect, kind of business decisions of, well, do I sit and wait around and then possibly lose lucrative film deals, franchise deals? I don't know. But whereas the inner Whovian in me is screaming, of course you do. Of course you wait around. Doctor Who. You wait at their schedule. And as I say, I'm not wishing it to a different streamer. I'm thinking it's a possibility, but that is not a cancellation. That is not what I'm saying.
Even
it is not going to die. I know that.
I think it's the question of whether, if Disney steps away, will the BBC try and maintain it on their own, or will they want to shop it around to other streamers as well? I think because of the, as you say, the fact that it's available internationally by putting it on a different streamer, would massively be in their best interest to do that again, not just to keep it to themselves. Now that it has that wide audience, you'd be silly to not make it available worldwide. And you can't do that on the BBC. You can't do that on iPlayer. So shopping it to another streamer would be the way to make sure it's still available worldwide.
Yep. And then whomever that may be, please stream in Ireland.
Right. My final prediction.
Go for it.
The next spin-off will be announced, and it will be showrun by Stephen Moffat.
What's your evidence?
Okay, so he has said that he's not going to be the next Doctor Who showrunner, right?
Yeah.
But, A, the showrunners lie all the time. We know how much they love to lie. But also, with the fun that he had with the press in the build-up to his return to season 1 and for Joy to the World, I wouldn't be massively shocked or surprised if he was doing something similar here by saying that he won't be the next Doctor Who showrunner. So when he was interviewed by the Radio Times, before it was announced that he was writing for Doctor Who season 1 and Joy to the World, he said, hang on, let me find it. I'm not going to read the whole quote, but he said, "The truth is, if I say anything negative about Doctor Who, it goes everywhere, like boom, everywhere, right? It doesn't exactly bring joy to the world that I just say something negative about Doctor Who. The fact is, it's fine without me."
Absolute git.
Right? So here he's saying, no, I'm not going to be the Doctor Who showrunner, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be the showrunner for the next Doctor Who spin-off. And I feel like it could be possible that he's laughing at us by saying, no, I'm not the next showrunner for Doctor Who.
That is...
But I am, in fact, going to be the showrunner for the next spin-off. And I feel like there was... I can't remember the exact interview, but he had said that he hadn't seen an episode of maybe season 1. I don't think he'd seen the season 1 finale. This could be wrong, but he said he hadn't seen one episode, but he said, interestingly, he had seen the season 2 finale for reasons that would become apparent. And I feel like perhaps if it's related to the spin-off that he is the showrunner for, then he would know what was going to happen. Perhaps it links to Anita. There's been hints that Anita is not done with and we're going to see her again. Does it revolve around the Time Hotel? Does it revolve around something else entirely? But whatever it might be, I think Stephen Moffat will be the showrunner for it.
Or does it relate back to Boom? That's where we got Varro's.
Maybe it's something to do with Vilengard.
I presume it will be. Like, he has brought Vilengard back in both of the episodes he wrote. So...
I just don't think this is the end of Stephen Moffat's Whoniverse journey.
No. Well,
and the fact that he has...
No, it isn't. Like,
explicitly 100%. Said he's not going to be the new Doctor Who showrunner doesn't mean he's not doing exactly what he did here when he dropped Boom and Joy to the World just casually into sentences and is trying to pull the wool over our eyes and mislead us here. I think he might be the showrunner for the next Doctor Who spin-off, whatever that might be.
How is Chris Chibnall doing these days?
Actually, what is he doing now?
I hope he's okay. Because do you know what? I was watching the proms. There was a bit... He wasn't there. And I was a bit like, That's not...
Sega Nakanola was there, to be fair.
And that's kind of like, at least, yes, because there was the gorgeous suite of music from Sega Nakanola. Anyway, right, moving on. All right, listen.
I'm listening.
I think that is a wild prediction. I think there's a good chance that is a thing that might happen.
I didn't know whether you had just paused for dramatic effect or if my laptop had frozen and I'm like, you went, listen, and I'm like, I'm listening. Say
listen,
something.
And then just Danny has inserted the full episode listen into that pause. Which is like,
So
Oh
sorry.
no, I've killed you. I've killed you. Okay, listen, okay, I've now got the word listen stuck in my head. Okay, speak. It's going to be, we're recording this right at the beginning of January, so I can't wait to come back and see what we got right, what we got wrong, what we never even considered, which you know there's going to be a ton of that as well. How they bring back Sutek this time. And of course, then we're going to go back and write what other villains, the Toy Master, Sutek. What about those cave people from an unearthly child? Oh, we're not supposed to talk about that one, are we?
Can I also just point out that once again you said Toy Master instead of Toy Maker?
I like that shot.
We need to tally. The silence,
I'm
right? We're going to tally every time.
Toy Master. Woohoo!
Yeah, next video you're going to notice more and more tally marks appearing on my arm as Seán says Toy Master.
Cool. I actually did. At some point, I do hope that the Pantheon of Discord and Toys R Us do turn up again in another episode of Doctor Who. I think that would be good fun.
Oh dear. There you go. Bold prediction. Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Do they even exist anymore? I don't think they do.
Oh, well, people said that about Blockbuster Video, but there's still that one store hanging on by the skin of its teeth.
Right, we're going to go before we predict something really ridiculous. Oh dear. Okay, yes. We have got lots to come this year. We've obviously got season 2 on its way, so make sure that you have subscribed if you haven't already. We've got plenty coming. We'll have lots of speculation. We'll keep coming back to check how our predictions are going throughout the year. Happy 2025, everybody. And here's to a great year. Bye-bye.
Bye.